So Marina, you are here in Manchester, finally.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the artists we're going to see outside in the gallery spaces.
It was quite a time, that including with you and Hans Ulrich, we've been thinking what different artists. So let's start with the youngest one, Terence Coe, who is born 1980, which is amazingly young.
Makes me feel so old.
So 80. And so he is a Canadian Chinese artist living in New York, and he decided he never done a long durational performance work because it's really work we commissioned from him, and it's like a really huge task. And he's the one who, when you come to the entrance, the first thing you can see. Then we have the Mikhail Chopra, who is the, again, Indian artist with Hans Ulrich on his recent trip from India.
And he's really young too, isn't he? 1977, I think.
He is also very young, and I was not aware of his activities and what he's doing now. Like really, he's actually one of the artists who is doing process, performance, which actually present the process and how things developing from there, just packing the gallery first so wonderfully. He was very happy with that. No?
Absolutely. Well, he's drawing onto the walls and the floor and almost up onto the ceilings, and to me it's just extraordinary to watch the gallery space change.
But I like so much that kind of ritual that he's doing with this lungi, typical Indian little scarf around his belly, and then he goes to this, on the end of the day, to this process of kind of ritual washing and taking these different personalities, which he's posing with these costumes who are carefully packaged and stay on the ground. And then every end of the day, it's like a public, like a pulsating through the gallery. They come together to see that portrait on the end, which really kind of give the kind of finishing to the entire performance event every night.
Some work is process, some is image, some needs interaction.
Exactly. But it's very interesting how when all artists come together, how there is a certain rhythm of this 4 hours, how it takes place and how things are kind of interacting. So when first time when you enter to the Amanda space, she's the Irish artist who is doing this repeatedly jump in the loop. You're waiting for this jump, and finally the jump comes. Sometimes you miss it, but then wherever you are in the space, you can hear this release of this emotion. And anywhere you are, that she actually jumped. And the same thing happened with Nico Vascellari, the young Italian artist who chose such a kind of, in a way, unattractive space, thinking about just the basement of the staircase,
the basement of the
which actually never goes because it's a part of the office space here. But then he's doing this, bell, the hitting stone over the stone, and create again, certain sound and the rhythm gives to everything else. Yeah. And I don't know if you're aware, but it's very interesting what the artist told me. The Ivancevic, who is another next young artist after Terence, who make this work, which we actually only video we use. And I think one of the best way of using video and his interaction with the video, going back to this home place Sarajevo after bombing, is that on the exactly 20 minutes before the end, come this song when he's visiting graveyard, and so everybody hear this in all the other spaces and knew, now it's 20 minutes more. It is funny how the time actually you start being aware of time even through the work of another person.
The 15 different artists have become a whole.
Exactly.
That it is a whole exhibition and it takes place over the whole gallery, but it needs the collection to have gone. So tell me about how you came to realise that needed to happen.
It was really something that Hans and me, we work around when we came here to Manchester the first time to visit, and there was so much work there, and you have the textile collection, you have the sculptures, you have the paintings, you have so many things, and it's like a normal museum, And then I was thinking, if something radical and new have to take place, something else have to go in order to make the space. And we were so afraid, to somehow we both have the same click, can you imagine this space empty? And it was like, after this, we could not imagine anywhere else. And then, of course, it took us lots of courage to tell you that.
But for me, it was very funny that you were scared to ask me.
You're director of this place, and it's not easy to ask anybody. I never done this in my life till now, to say, excuse me, can you empty everything from the collection, put somewhere else that we have empty space. I think that why is so successful at the
Yeah,
moment
I
is
agree.
because of that radicality and because of this that you understood in the same second what that means.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like this.
Yeah. Well, you had a word for it in your drill. You said it's about making the holy ground.
Yeah.
And it's about giving space for this kind of art.
And to me, it's so interesting that also the Manchester public who comes to this gallery and comes and know the exhibition, know collection, comes and find himself in the same space but a completely new. So it's like that means that we should raise the question: how is possible that one institution actually have this kind of transformation, and is actually possible?
Well, how to really engage people. But you do some of that work with your drill. So just talk for a minute about the importance of that first hour for the public.
When you made this kind of heroic act to empty the gallery and make this effort, which is a huge effort, I was thinking, I have to make the same effort. I have to really be entire period of time here, 17 days, and make this public drill to really see if this thing can function. And I think without public drill, it will not function the same way, because we will again have this public who come for short and go. They have to stay the same amount of time as artists they are doing the performance. So there's a kind of equality in the energy input.
Many people who know your work, your career, are coming and expecting something violent and extreme, but you take the opposite position, and what you give them is something that is gentle and intimate, and it slows everybody down.
I will never do anything aggressive to the public. If I'm doing something, this is what I'm taking my responsibility about myself. But here the entire idea of this show is to slow down the public and to kind of center them in the order they can receive something else.
Because you make people look at each other in the drill, that reminds them they have to really look at the artist's work. So it prepares them to spend time looking.
The art is really about looking.
Yeah.
And of course experiencing emotionally and every other level. But looking, and we have to really learn to do that. And people don't look each other in the eyes. They don't. They just, they just kind of... But you see, Maria, as for me, as for you, this is the first experience to do that. So it's really interesting for me now, but this is finishing. The collection is coming back. And then it's become completely different. How you feel about this whole thing, and what will be your next step, having this experience as you having it now?
What we've experienced is changing all of us.
And we are not even half through.
Absolutely. And I think it's changed all the staff here, because they have all been part of making it possible. And we're seeing the building completely differently. So the collection will come back, but it can't be the same again. Nico's noise echoes through the gallery as if we are knocking the Whitworth down. And to me, that is what we're doing. To build it back up again and work with the public in a different kind of way, and to see the collection that we have with completely new eyes. So for me, the encounter with you and all the other artists is about learning how to look at our collection. It makes it brand new again.
And I think to conclude this conversation, for me, what is the most experience we are going through, both of us, is actually how to deal with the public in a new way.
Yeah,
that's what
absolutely.
we are getting to.
Most significant thing. I've seen people come out at the end and they are euphoric, and many of them say, I thought I would only be able to stay for 2 hours, but this hasn't been long enough. And that to me is the triumph.
And that's the way to not to see only performance, but that's the way to see art in general, to spend time.
Absolutely.